time, but that's all right. We got lots to cover for you. Steve Baker, Chris Hook, Coach Rob Deck, and we're going to cover a lot of high school sports because it is time for playoffs. And let's just start.
No.
All right, sorry. So again, welcome to the second episode of Clearviewmedia Sports Podcast. Steve Baker, Coach Rob Deck, Chris Hook, and we are doing high school football playoffs. We have a lot to cover today, so let's jump right into it. First thing to talk about before we get into our brackets, guys, the fact that there are 16 teams in each division, each region, I should say, going into playoffs, and how ridiculous we think that is. Chris, let's start with you.
Yeah, we talked about this last week, just too many teams. And 16 teams, that used to be how many teams were in each division in the entire state, 4 regions. Now we have that in each region. That is too many teams. Too many. What do you think, Coach?
I think it's ridiculous, man. I want to go back to the old format. I think the old format is much better. Get the team that deserves it a bye during week 1, which is the number 1 team in each region. I think they deserve that week off and come back that following week. 16 teams is entirely too much because what we're going to cover, you got teams who got records with 1 win and they're in the playoffs. I mean, how's you rewarding these young men with 1 win and you're in the playoffs? That's disadvantages to the guys that worked hard, I think.
Yeah, it takes away from the regular season. You know, does the regular season matter? 16 teams are in. Why would you risk your season knowing that you're going to make the playoffs anyways? Now, again, they started this during COVID because teams weren't able to play all their games and they were like, okay, everybody's in. And, you know, we don't know the real reason, but we can guess on what the reason is here. But, again, 16 teams, and you're putting these kids, you know, the regular season doesn't really mean much, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. So I just don't think it's fair, really, to give everybody a chance to get in the playoffs.
And it just extends the season, extends all these kids' the season. These kids have been starting two-a-days since the end of July. And, you know, if some of these kids wrestle or they play basketball, they have to keep putting that off to keep playing these meaningless games. And if these big-time teams like Massillon, like McKinley, like Ignatius, why would you bother scheduling each other during the regular season knowing you're going to make the playoffs? Why not just load your schedule with these terrible teams?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. And I know that, again, they're doing it for that ranking system of being like, okay, we have the number 1 team. But, again, number 1, for example, Region 1, you have St. Ed's, who's 9-1, playing Stowe Monroe Falls, who's 1-9. So
Now I can understand why Massillon took that 1 week off. Because it didn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It didn't matter. You know, first I had a problem with it. I'm like, why they not playing? You know, now I see why they not playing because it's like, why should I play an extra week for what? Rest of my guys are going into, you know, the McKinley game and going a week before the playoffs.
Yeah. Again, it's crazy. So let's jump into it. Some of those games that we kind of are ridiculous games. Chris, I'll throw it to you. You have a couple on your notes over there.
You know, it kind of feels like the first week of college football when Ohio State plays, you know, Florida A&M. All these games we got coming up. Ed's in Monroe Falls is the biggest one I see, but the second biggest one that jumps out to me is St. Ignatius and John Marshall. I don't even know how many times John Marshall's been in the playoffs. I haven't seen it very lately. If it has happened, Ignatius is there every year. Ignatius is state championship material every year. This game's going to be a blowout, so it's not one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and, you know, I know we had talked earlier, another one that you had mentioned was that Glenville game.
Oh, man. Okay, so Glenville, we're talking Division 4 here. Glenville, as you guys know, is undefeated. They have not lost a game all year. They have only given up 35 points all season, and that was to 2 teams, one of those teams being Avon. They have racked up 6 consecutive shutouts against teams like John Marshall and John Hay and John Adams and John JFK, all those Johns in that division. They've put up 354 points this season. Napoleon has allowed 213 and only scored 190.
How many points has Glenville given up?
35.
35, that's right. Given up 35 and scored how many?
354.
354 against Napoleon, which is giving up more points than they've actually scored.
Yeah.
And this is a first round. Again, Glenville's 10-0. Napoleon's what 6-4? We said
6-4 at best.
4-6, something like that.
Yeah.
For me, one of the big games. You said Division 4. We're going to stick there. Is the Jefferson versus Poland game. Now, Jefferson hasn't hosted a playoff game since 1999 or something like that.
I remember that year.
Yeah.
They beat us.
So, of course they did. But Jefferson, again, they've worked hard. They've got the number 8 seed, and they would have made it. However, you have Poland, who's 5-5. They lost to Jefferson, but they just played on 10-14. Mm-hmm. So on the 14th they played. Now they have to play again, and we talk about how hard it is for these teams to meet again in the playoffs and beat a team twice in 1 year. You're playing them twice in 3 weeks.
Yeah, and this is a conference rival that you just played. First round, first home game, first home playoff game, and I couldn't tell you how long it's been since Jefferson had a home playoff game. And they got to turn around and play the same team again, install the same game plan, get ready for the same players. Luckily, Jefferson, we all know how good of a coach they have.
Yeah, they have a great coach in Coach Hanna there. Again, Jefferson beat Poland 27-13, and they've worked, again, this goes back to you work hard in the regular season for what? To now have to play that same team that you was a kind of a, we got to work hard to beat them. Mm-hmm. Now you have to do it again.
Yeah.
And again, that's that 16 team. It's kind of ridiculous. Coach, any game that you see that you're kind of like, why are they playing this?
Yes, the game stands out to me is Region 8. Division 2. Cincinnati, Woods versus Cincinnati LaSalle.
Yeah.
LaSalle usually be a powerhouse, but this year they, 1-8?
Yeah.
But you're playing an undefeated team.
Another yet undefeated team playing a team that has one win.
I just think it's I don't know. I mean, this is our show. We can say it. I think it's a money grabber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it's like, why are these teams playing one another? Most of these teams played each other throughout the season, and they blew them out throughout the season as well. So hopefully, OSHA can get this right.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can get this right. It's time to get football back to football. The epidemic is over with. These kids, you're not rewarding these kids by having an extra week. You got these teams competing to be the number 1 team to get the number 1 seed so they can have home field advantages during playoffs, but yet what good it's going to do if you got to play a team that's, only with 1 win. Mm-hmm. How you expect your kids to get up for that week?
Right. Now, with that said, though, does that, again, it does offer that money grab opportunity that you talked about with, charging for tickets and concessions, and schools make the money as well. But also, does that allow for a Cinderella team to kind of make a run here in the playoffs?
Oh, I don't think that's too much of a concern for any of these teams. I see, you may have a 6 or 7 seed, make it a little bit further in that bracket, but
do you have a 12 team upset and then make a run?
Anything's possible. It is the playoffs.
That's the thing is you have teams that they worked hard. They're having a great season, but they've never made the playoffs. And this year they may have worked hard enough to make the playoffs, but they're going against a team that has playoff experience that just is the number 10, number 11 seed. But they have that playoff experience. That coach has that playoff experience, and then gives them that chance to kind of, like I said, make that Cinderella run. Okay,
well, here's a scenario. So, number 15 seed in Region 1, Division 1 is Strongsville, 3-7. Now, Strongsville has had history of good playoff runs, playing these kinds of teams. Wadsworth, Elyria, Medina, Menor, Brunswick, they're all in the same bracket here. So those are all teams that Strongsville is familiar with, but do you really think that they're going to get past Medina in the first round?
Again, who knows? They've seen what these, and that's where it comes into, they play each other in regular season, and now they already know what that other team is bringing. That coach is able to be like, okay, now it's playoff time, and able to make those adjustments when those other teams may not have that experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Coach, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I mean, again, it goes back to what type of experience does the team has as a whole. Okay, the coach can have a playoff experience, but does his team have playoff experience?
Yeah.
Very true.
Is he playing with a group of young guys, or is he playing with a group of juniors and seniors? That way he can rely on his seniors to bring up the leadership. You know, that's important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in big games. You know, like a Chuck Kyle. You know, Chuck Kyle didn't have a great season. You know, he's usually in position 1 or 2, but yet he's in a different position this year. But with him and his staff with the experience, and
Right.
with the team that has experience from last year and the year before, I think they may be a Cinderella team.
And that's the exciting part about playoffs, I guess, is you always have that chance. But again, I guess the question to the viewers, go ahead and comment, is 16 teams too much? And what is the right number for that? And what are your thoughts? What's the right number per region?
I think the perfect number for a region is 8. They expanded to 8 when we were still in high school, and it was a big opportunity for a lot of schools who were just on the outside, like Geneva. I mean, this is the time when Geneva used to win the NEC every year. They used to go 9-1, but they could not get in the playoffs because they played a bunch of bad teams.
Right.
So going to 8 teams at least allowed those kinds of teams to advance. Now, Geneva never advanced. They never got too far into the playoffs back then, but I think that is a bigger opportunity for a Cinderella team like you were talking about to advance to be a 7 or an 8 seed as opposed to a 15 or 16 seed.
You know, you talk about the number 9 seed, or, going to 8 teams. Geneva is a 9 seed this year.
Yeah.
So, where's that number is the problem? Because, Geneva could make a run here.
Yeah.
And they have a great team. But, what do they do with that? And in a normal year, would they be in the playoffs? No.
If it was 8 teams, and of course they had that one loss at the beginning of the season in Madison, had that not happened, obviously, then I think they still would be a top 8 team. Having lost that game to Madison, that dropped them down to 9. So I think 8 is the perfect number per region.
No. And, Coach, what do you think on that?
I think 8 as well, because it makes the kids work throughout the season. But what I'm hearing is, through sources, they're talking about 12. 12 can be a decent number, but I'd rather stick with 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I personally also like 8. I think, again, it shows the kids, you work hard, you're going to get rewarded. And it challenges teams to face opponents that may be better than them. That strength of schedule comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
You can be 10-0, but if you play teams like Orange and Beechwood, who have 2 wins combined, Beechwood has both of them. You know what I mean? Like, if you have schedule those teams, you're not doing yourself or your program or your kids any good, because these kids are playing football to be, to have that challenge, to have that drive. And if you're going up against a team, again, week 1, who's 1-9, you're like, cool, we can put our 4th string in and still do nothing. Kids don't get excited for that, and honestly, fans don't get excited for that either, because they're like, cool, we're going to go to a blowout. We'll be gone at halftime when it's 65-0.
Right.
So I think 8 as well.
Yeah. It's too much. It puts too much, makes the season so much longer for these kids who are 1-9.
Yeah. And like you said, these kids have, a lot of these kids are 2 and 3 sport athletes, and now they have, they're going to basketball season, but they can't do that because they have to focus on playing St. Ed's.
Mm-hmm.
You have kids who, are like, all right, it's time for basketball. Oh, wait, we have to go play St. Ed's? Coach, I'm not even going to dress.
And there's only 15 kids or so on a basketball team. You got to figure at least half of those kids are still playing football for Monroe Falls right now.
Right.
So how does that coach feel? He can't even start practicing yet because half his team has to wait to still playing football.
So, yeah, it causes all sorts of problems is what we're hearing. And I guess we're going to find out this week if there is that Cinderella team that shows up. Let's go to our brackets, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's start with Region 7, the last region here.
Region 7?
Division 7?
Division 7, I'm sorry.
You're going to start Division 7. Okay.
Division 7, that's my fault. And we'll go from the back up. So we'll go to Region 28. Is there any games that stand out for anybody in that?
28.
Sorry for the shuffling of the papers. I know it's loud. We're trying here. everything would be better digital, but we're old school here. We got written brackets. That's right.
I am looking at this bracket, and it looks like just all the other brackets. You got a number 1 9-1 team going against 3-6.
3-6, right?
I don't see anything in this bracket that jumps out to me as a game that I really would be wanting to watch and would be setting my schedule around this game.
Yeah, I mean, you have Mechanicsburg at 8-2 going against Lockland at 2-7.
Yeah,
Big game.
big game.
Big
Big game for these kids, but I don't even know who some of these teams are.
I mean, let's go to 27. Anybody you see in 27?
Again,
it's a lot of lower teams with more losses, and like you got Newark Catholic is what's 7-1, and going against Valley is 1-8. I mean,
a glaring stat at this bracket right here, especially, there is not one matchup of two teams with winning records.
I mean, you have here's something to talk about. You have the 7th-ranked team in Bridgeport. They're at 5-5, going against Lancaster at 5-5, and they're at 10. So you have a 7 seed who would be in the playoffs with a 5-5 record, going against a 10 seed with the same record.
Mm-hmm.
That's something different. That's something to play for.
Right.
Because both teams are basically equal.
Now, again, does the strength of schedule play into that? Probably. I don't know who each team played, but again, you have the same record, so you're like, you know what? And if you're a coach, that's what you're telling your kids, is, hey, we're both 5-5. We have a chance here.
I have a feeling Lancaster Fairfield Christian Academy
Yeah.
probably played Newark Catholic.
Probably.
And
that's probably one of their losses.
That's probably one of their losses.
Or it could be Newark's only loss.
Yeah, maybe that's why they're in the playoffs.
All right, so let's go to Region 25. We have Warren JFK. This is our region, Chris. No, it's not. Never mind.
We're on 26.
We are on 26. You're right. I skipped a page.
You said you skip?
Yeah,
26.
We're on region 26.
Don't nothing stand out on 26 to me either.
I say there's Lima Central.
Catholic.
That's the one I picked too.
The only game that kind of intrigues me a little bit is Arlington versus Delphos St. John's. Delphos St. John's is not the team they usually are this year. They're 4-6, but they're usually one of the better small schools in the state. So maybe that's a game that could be worth watching.
So, Chris, are you saying that Delphos has a chance to beat Arlington, who's 9-1?
I'm saying it's. I did not say. I picked Arlington to win this game. I'm just saying, if we're going to talk about a team, any game on here that
Talking Cinderella, right?
talking Cinderella, maybe. But I don't see them if they do manage to beat Arlington. I don't see them getting past the next round.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
fair enough. All right, let's go to 25.
Words in my mouth, Steve.
Hey, I'm just saying. All right, so 25, we have JFK, who's 9-1 against Fairport Harbor. So I was right. It is our region.
Yeah, this is our region, and this is JFK is the team I picked to win the state championship for Division 7. Oh man, playing Fairport Harbor. Oh boy. Well, we know what kind of team Fairport Harbor is, and yeah, that's not a game that's going to be very good.
No, not at all. I mean, you have Lowellville and Steubenville. You have Toronto and Lucas. Lots of farm boys in this division. Danville, Hillsdale,
Central
Jeromesville.
Catholic, by the way. That's not Steubenville.
Right,
Big Red.
Right, but you have a lot of farm boys in this one, so this will be fun.
Not Big Red. No.
Anybody you see in that one there, Coach?
No, I don't see no one
No,
in this.
I didn't either. All right, 24.
All right, Division
Going in
6.
Division 6.
Marion Local.
Who'd you see?
Marion Local.
Marion Local.
Yeah.
Maria Stein, yeah. Yeah, they're 10-0.
Yeah, I got them winning that game.
Me too.
I mean, they're probably going to win this bracket.
Yeah, Country Day's in there. Cincinnati Country Day's in there.
They used to be good
Mm-hmm.
So
over the years.
They're 8-1. I mean, they're ranked 6th, but they're still one of the better teams in this bracket.
yeah, so they could have a little bit of a run here. But again, I don't think they're getting past Marion Local at all, if they even make it that far.
No.
All right, let's go to 23 here. Yeah, all right, cool. Next, we go to 22.
See, folks,
Again.
these lower divisions is pretty tough.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you have Ashland Crestview, who's 10-0, going against Wayne Trace, who's 5-5. Again, that's a 2-15 matchup. Cary's 10-0, Ashland's 10-0, Columbia Station's 10-0. So I mean, you have three teams.
This bottom game could be interesting. You have Howell Loudon for 8-2 and against Seneca East at 7-3.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's interesting, but like
I actually went Seneca East in this game.
so did I.
Picking the upset.
I did.
Nope, he did not.
Gotta go one upset. Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Here's
There
our
it is.
region. This is a good region right here. This is probably the best region in Division 7 right here.
They're in 6.
Division 6, excuse me. As far as good games go in this week, still not seeing too many of them, other than maybe Ritztown and Hanoverton United.
Dalton and North Jackson could be possible.
Okay, but in the second round, this bracket is going to be.
It's going to be pretty fire.
Yes, you get
The second round.
Yeah.
the second round in this
First
bracket.
round ain't going to be
no.
so good.
I mean, my second round, I'll go through really quick. I have Kirtland and Ritztown, Dalton and Brookfield, Mogador and Mineral Ridge, Youngstown Christian and Cuyahoga Heights.
I had the same exact. The only difference I had was I had Canton Central beating Mineral Ridge.
Okay.
Just to give it a little bit extra flair in that division, but that's going to be a really good bracket come the second round.
All right, let's go to 20. Still Division 5 now. Let's see. There's another. I don't really know. We have more games where we're like, cool, whatever. Just picking names at this point.
All right, so we're in the Cincinnati region right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you have Germantown Valley View, 9-1. Like going to Carlisle at 4-6.
There's Summit County Country Day versus Blanchester.
Yeah. Again, really nothing there. Let's go to 19. My crazy Division 5 winners. Just kind of picked it out of the blue here, but I have Ironton. Here they are. They're in Division 5, Region 19. But again, more games where we're just not really excited.
Well, at least the 16th ranked team has a winning record. They're 6-4.
Oh, there you go.
Because other than that,
but here's the thing: they're 6-4, but the 13th ranked team is 4-6.
Yeah, that comes down to strength of schedule. You got to wonder who they beat.
That's what it's going to come down to, strength of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it always comes down to, I guess. But again, it doesn't matter. I don't think it does.
Not week 1.
Yeah, not week 1. It doesn't.
I'm not interested in week 1. Just
I mean,
get it over with.
Right?
I can't wait till Friday night. Get it rolling, man.
I mean, Region 18. Again, same. We're kind of looking at it, going, all right, cool.
Liberty Center and Port Clinton. Port Clinton's usually pretty good, but I could see that not being a very good game at all. Yeah, I don't.
Union to come up out of there.
Yeah, I don't see any. Yeah. Okay.
Here we go. Region 17. This is us again. We're from Northeast Ohio. If you don't know that, but so when you say our region, that's what we're talking about. Coach, he's not a Northeastern Ohio. He's an Akron boy. So, as you can see. So Conneaut's in this region, and they're ranked 8th.
And they're playing Garrettsville, which is not that far from here. That's just north of Kent. Two small farm towns going at it that probably have played each other before. I got Conneaut winning that one.
And then you have Perry and Worcester Triway.
Yeah.
Worcester's 4-6, by the way.
The best team in this bracket by far is Perry.
Yeah.
We know that. They're from our region for sure. The fact that they're Division 5, I think, is ridiculous. They need to move up.
Yeah. Anybody you see there, Coach?
I'm waiting on Glenville.
All right. He's waiting to get there. All right, we're working through there.
We're just
So
about there.
We're on Region 16. Again, Wyoming, Springfield, Shawnee, Chillicothe's in that one. Tafton's that one. Nobody really there. 15, we have Clairsville. We have Marion Franklin. Again, none of these are. There's Steubenville, by the way.
Steubenville. There's the one team in this bracket that really jumps out to you. They're only ranked. They're second behind St. Clairsville, but if that becomes a matchup. Steubenville and St. Clairsville. That could be a great game in this bracket.
Steubenville is always good.
Yeah, they're always good for sure. Region 14, there's nobody else in that team except Glenville.
What are you talking about? We got O'Leary Catholic. Got Van Wert. We got Sandusky Perkins. Again, you guys know how I feel about Sandusky Perkins. They're good.
Yeah, but are they going to beat Glenville?
It's
That region is going to be tough.
this is a tough region.
But I'm pulling for Coach Ginn. This is his year. This got to be Coach Ginn.
It's got to.
Oh yeah, who here doesn't like Coach Ginn?
Ginn
Right.
has some great teams.
Ginn and Ginn Jr.
But this got to be his year.
Mm-hmm.
What was that stat again, Chris?
Points for 354, points against 35.
35. Awesome. Good luck, Napoleon, and anybody else they have to play. Anything else want to touch about Glenville there, Coach?
Man, I mean, I'm just. They got a great, solid running game.
Yeah, they do.
The quarterback reminds me of Cordell. When Cordell was in school, coming up through Glenville, they got size, they got speed. Their defensive backs are very solid. Heck, I think they got about 11 Division I players on that team.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe it.
They gonna be something to be looking at as far as that division there. And you know, I can't see no one in that region or in that division can beat them. You know, I mean, and then you go to the next division or region, which is what, Region 13. Only one I think that has experience there is West Branch and Hubbard. You know, then you have Akron Bookdale there.
You do. You also have the game that I talked about earlier with Jefferson and Poland, also in the bottom of that bracket. And Poland has that experience, that playoff experience.
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson does not. But again, we know the coach pretty well, and I think he's gonna have his boys ready to play.
So in Region 13, who y'all think is coming out? Because you know you have Akron Bookdale, who would be playing Woolridge out of Carver Falls, and I think that game can go either way.
I think Bookdale advances off in the first round.
Yes.
And then I have them actually playing Canal Fulton in the second round, which that game I think is going to be tough. Canal Fulton's a pretty tough team. And Struthers is also in that bracket. So even if they advance, Struthers, they play a lot of the teams from our area, and they're pretty good. Struthers is 6-4, but they've been beating teams pretty big. They beat Jefferson 42-14.
Wow.
Wow.
I think a team that I could see coming out of this bracket would be Lisbon Beaver.
I have Lisbon coming through.
They have the easier side of the bracket, it looks like. They don't have to play West Branch and Bookdale and Canal Fulton. All those teams are on the other side of the bracket. So Lisbon has the easier path, it seems like, especially if, say, Girard can knock off Hubbard.
Which I have.
Me too.
I got Hubbard.
Hubbard's
there it
tough
is.
in the playoffs.
Solid, man.
They are tough, but again, it's one of those years.
Hubbard is real solid.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're moving. We're getting through it now. We're getting some big games now.
To the meat of the turkey, right?
Right. We got Region 12 now. Again, here we go with some of these.
No, Division III. Now we are getting to the good games here, the good teams.
You got Hamilton going against Cincinnati Woodward, but Hamilton's 10-0. Woodward's 5-5.
Yep.
Again, that okay, cool. We'll go to the game, but how do we get excited?
Now the next one, Tecumseh and New Richmond, could be a good one. 8-9 matchup. Both teams got pretty good records. They're both pretty familiar with each other. Tecumseh's at home. That's the one advantage they have.
You have Tippecanoe in this bracket.
And Tyler too.
I don't think anybody got that, but that's
I
okay.
know.
I'm thinking Trotwood Madison, and they might be the sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pick them to advance, but I think they may be a sleeper.
Trotwood.
You know, they got good coaches and great playoff experience.
Yeah, but do they get through Tippecanoe is the question.
That's
Because that's who they would probably play in that second round.
That's the thing. You know, I don't have them advancing.
Yeah, I have Chaminade winning.
I don't have them winning the first round. But
Yeah.
if any team that can do it, they'd be my sleeper.
I feel like this region is the one that we've seen the most, where the top 4 teams are hands down better than the bottom 12 teams.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes from 10-0 to 10-0, 10-0 to 1-9, 1-9, 1-9. This region right here.
Yeah. All right, Region 11, boys. Here we are.
Right.
We got Columbus South. We got Jackson. We got Granville. Bell Fountain's in this one.
Bishop Watterson.
Yeah. So there's some good teams here, But again, you have some of the. This one actually isn't that bad. London and Chillicothe are 7-3, both of them. Granville and Bell Fountain 8-2, both of them. See, this one's kind of a little bit closer of a matchup.
And 6-9, we got Columbus South, and we got Washington.
Yeah.
And they're both 8
and
South's 1. Washington's 8-2.
So I mean, again, like that's a crazy. Like those are good games that people want to be excited to watch. But again, some of them, it's here. We're gonna make your parents pay this money so we can make money. Because they're going to come anyways.
Right.
You know?
See little Johnny play.
Right. They're going to come. Grandma's going to come. Andy's going to come. And they just want to watch him play, but you're 1-9.
Plus the band, plus the cheerleaders, plus the trainers, plus the mascot. All these other kids got to go.
So, Region 10, we're moving along here. Parma Holy Name with the number 1 seed. Did not expect that.
Yeah, that's surprising.
As they're 7-2, and they're playing Copley.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Copley's a
Copley's
16.
not that good this year. I don't know. Copley's been on a slump for the past 2 years. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Copley. You know, they lost a few kids who transferred to Massillon, a few key players. I don't know. I don't see Copley coming out, past first week 1.
Yeah, I have Holy Name winning that one.
Yeah.
The big game in this one that I see, just because of the proximity of the two schools, is Mansfield Senior in Ontario, at Tiger Stadium there in Mansfield. Ontario is maybe 4 miles from that stadium.
Wow.
So, you're going to – yes, it's home field advantage, but you're right next to the other team. You literally can share the stadium. You're that close. So I don't know how much home field advantage is going to play into that. But again, you have Mansfield Senior who's 8-2, Ontario 6-4. That's the game I think is a good game to watch because again, the proximity of how close you are to each other is huge there. You have other teams that are traveling, like Copley, who's got to go up to Parma Heights. That's not close. But this is literally you can walk down the street to get to Tiger Stadium.
And you were saying that because it's so close, you are going to have friends. You are going to have locals, hometown rivals.
Yep.
Friends and
relatives who are right there.
And it's crazy. And these kids, they go to the same churches. They go to the same, baseball stadium. They do everything together because they're right there.
Yeah.
So that I think is going to be a game to watch. I have Mansfield winning it, but that's going to be a game to watch.
Yeah.
I pick Mansfield as well.
Yeah, me too.
All right, let's move on to Region 9. I'll let you take Chardon on that one.
All right, state champions right here. Chardon. Chardon. Yeah.
So you have 2 undefeateds who could match up in the regional final there.
Yeah, and then you have Trentwood, Edgewood too. They're
Trentwood Edgewood is going to cause a problem.
yeah, so some good teams in this bracket.
All right, let's go to Region 7.
Oh.
What do you got? Massillon, Washington, Massillon, Perry. What do you got for that?
Come on now.
Hey, it's a matchup. I didn't make the brackets. I'm just reading it.
I'm going with Massillon, Washington. Because you got to be correct what you say when you talk about Massillon's teams. In Massillon, there's only one team in Massillon.
Yeah.
As they say, although we know there's Jackson, Perry, and Washington, but there's only one Massillon. So I'm going with the Tigers to come out this region. But I think this region is going to be another good region because you got Uniontown Lake, you got Big Walnut, and Big Walnut is really standing out to me for some odd reason. I think Big Walnut is going to be a problem to a lot of teams. But I think it's going to come down to Massillon, Washington, Uniontown Lake, and Big Walnut out of Region 7.
Yeah.
So you see Washington and Uniontown Lake in the regional final there.
Between the 3, but Massillon and Washington is going to pull out of that region, I think.
All right.
Yeah, it's interesting because, Coach, you were talking about this before the show started about the Stark County teams moving. In this bracket alone, you have Uniontown, Massillon, Washington, and Massillon, Perry, and North Canton all playing these teams further down south, like Big Walnut, like Columbus Northland, like Columbus Independence. Columbus is still about an hour and a half, 2 hours from here.
Well, let's enlighten our viewers. What we was talking about earlier before we got on camera is that why a lot of teams from Stark County and
Sorry for the background noise if you hear that, by the way.
and in the Federal League, a lot of those teams are playing down south. Why is that? Who is y'all running from? You know, I mean, you have Massillon, Uniontown. You know, you have a lot of these teams. You got Canton, Glen Oak.
Mm-hmm.
You got North Canton. A lot of these teams, you got Perry, Massillon, are playing in the south regions. You know, when you have regions up in the north. You know, and we already know, you know, who's up in the region. Is you guys running from let's just say it, Akron Holman? Mm-hmm. Is y'all trying to avoid Akron Holman? Eventually you're going to have to run into them. You know, I mean, you run it down to the south regions, you know, you got Woods, you got Big Walnut, you got even St. Francis de Sales, who at one point was pretty solid. So you got some solid teams down there, but then you got to travel far just to play.
Yep.
So what's going on, Stark County? What's going on, Federal League? Why you guys are choosing to play in the South region instead of the regions that's closer to home?
You know, and I know these are all based on computer points and computer formulas, not supposed to be done by an eye test. But do you think maybe there was a reason why Washington and Perry got put in the first round?
Maybe.
So Perry doesn't have to travel to Columbus
to get rocked.
They can just go across the street and do it.
Right.
I mean,
down the street. They can walk to the street.
Yeah.
How close they are. You know, but again, that matchup is not being like it has been in the past.
Yeah.
You know, when the real coach was at Perry, when they really played ball with you,
Mm-hmm.
that wing T came at you. You know.
Running the wing T.
yeah,
So
that's what Chardon runs.
Yeah, it works well. Works for him.
oh man, the wing T is tough, man. It's hard to defend it.
Yeah.
If you run it and they execute it.
If you can do it right.
Yeah,
There's
right,
a lot
right.
of teams try to run that. They can't run it right because they're not fast enough.
You got to have a great quarterback. That's the key to the wing T. And a guard.
You got to have good pulling guards, and you got to have a big fullback who can control the middle of the field, and you got to have a good tight end.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Region 6. Setting up for what I think is going to be a heck of a yeah. So if you're looking at Region 6, the way the bracket's set up, I think we're looking at a rematch of Avon Lake.
Oh, yes.
And again, talk about two teams that are always at each other's throats and somehow always meet up in the playoffs almost every year.
Yeah.
It happens all the time, and we're set up for it yet again in Region 6 with Avon Lake.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. That's how it's set up. It seems to happen every year. The only other, we also have a possibility of Olmsted Falls in the finals.
Yeah.
You do.
But don't count out Dinah Highland. They've been tough all season.
I mean, you have Toledo Central Catholic, who's sneakily 9-1.
Can't sleep on Toledo Central Catholic.
I think,
Right.
and their only loss was to who? Massillon?
I think so.
Yeah.
But they're playing Ashland. Again, why is Ashland in that bracket? I don't know.
No, that's West.
No way. Toledo and Ashland? No way. That doesn't make any sense.
That's some distance, bro.
That makes no sense.
A lot of teams are running from competition. They're running into competition.
Yeah.
Like, Ashland's going all the way to Toledo to play? Like, come on.
That's
Yeah,
a drive.
you see Westlake and North Royalton, North Ridgeville. I mean, all those teams, the west side of Cleveland.
Those are, but
That's
I mean,
not
Ashland's
that far
south.
from.
That's not that far. They're
Right.
all in the same
Ashland's
area.
south.
You know.
All right, here we go. Region 5. Coach, I'll let you good take on it.
Oh my goodness.
We're going to be on this one for a minute.
Yeah.
Region 5. As y'all know, we got, man, this is who I'm looking for in Region 5. I'm looking for Barberton, Walsh Jesuit, St. Vincent St. Mary, and Akron Holman.
Oof.
And out of that, I'm looking for, I want a rematch. We've been talking about it. I want the St. Vincent St. Mary, Akron Holman in a rematch.
In round 3.
It'll be round 3.
So, you said that, that your teams you're looking for, but you left out Austintown Fitch and Riverside.
Austintown Fitch scared me this year.
And Hudson.
They scared me this year. Hudson,
They're 10-0.
they tough, but Hudson's gonna run into
Riverside?
Riverside.
And I think if they run into each other, that's a game I want to be at.
That's gonna be a fun.
Like, I want to be at that game, the Hudson Riverside game. You guys, you and Vert can go to Hoban and St. V. I'll go to Hudson Riverside.
But you gotta see how the bracket is set up. It's set up where St. V and Hope can actually physically meet.
Right. Before the finals.
It's
Yes.
it's set up so that Hoban can play St. V and then play Walsh.
Yes.
Which we saw the Hoban Walsh game. And that's another rematch. So they could have rematch after rematch here.
And I love it.
Like, it would be crazy.
Let the dog fights begin.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I think
Let the
Riverside.
dust settle and
Yeah.
and let them go at it.
I think we
mean,
could see Riverside and Odonia play as well, and that would be a heck of a game too.
I mean, my main reason to see the rematch between them is because I don't want them to end the Akron Holy War. I
Right.
think one more round of it. I think the whoever makes the scheduling, and I think they waiting on St. Vincent, St. Mary. Get it together, guys. Reschedule that game for next season. That's a great game, great tradition for the kids, and it's a great thing for the community. You have alumni that come back into the community, and it's just a great thing, man. So, but then that Region 5 it's a tough region. This is one of the toughest regions to get to the final.
This is definitely probably the best region I've seen.
Yeah.
I
mean, even like your top 8, my top 8, I have Hoban, Barberton, Fitch, St. V, Riverside, Nordonia, Hudson, Walsh.
and remember
Talk
that
about a heck of a
we were just talking about how great Chardon is, how great we think Chardon is going to be in Division 3. Chardon has one loss, and that is to Riverside. Riverside is a team I can see moving on. Nordonia, Hudson, Walsh. There's so many good teams in
There's
this
so many
bracket.
teams that can move on.
Yeah.
All right, we got to move on quick here, guys. We're almost out of time. Let's go to Region 4.
Region 4.
We got Moeller, the only team to beat no, they didn't beat St. Ed's. I'm sorry. They lost to St. Ed's. That was the only loss.
By 2 field goals.
Yeah. Which were the only points scored in that game.
Yes.
That was field goals.
Well, this is another great bracket right here. These are the schools from Cincinnati we all know: Xavier, Moeller, Elder,
Lakota West,
Princeton, Lakota. This is going to be a tough bracket to get out of.
Be a bracket.
Yeah. All right, let's go to 3. We got Gahanna, Lincoln. These are the Columbus schools. Interesting, you have Pick Central and Pick North, both in the same bracket as well. So that'll be a fun time. Central's playing Grove City in round 1, and North is playing Groveport Madison in round 1. I see both Pickerington schools moving on for a big setup for round 2.
Yeah.
You also have both Hilliard schools in their same
Jameson and
bracket,
Darby.
Darby and Darby.
Yeah, and that would be a round 3 matchup for the advance. All right, let's go to Region 2. We can run through this. Perrysburg is there 9-1. Dublin Jerome is number 1 to 8-2. You got Springfield. Huber Heights is in there. Centerville. All right, and then
Put it for Springfield.
I want to say Dublin Jerome and Dublin Kaufman. That could be a good matchup for the
I
finals.
have Springfield advancing, by the way. Let's go to Region 1. Let's
All right.
do these games quickly.
The big boy region.
All right, so let's go through the games really quick. Stowe, Monroe Falls versus Lakewood, St. Ed's.
Yeah, that's unfortunately probably the biggest mismatch of the entire playoffs is going to be this game.
Yeah, that's horrible. So we'll say St. Ed's advances there. Then we have our Massillon Jackson going against Berea Mid Park. Again, 6, or are they both 5-5? That's an 8-9 matchup. I have Jackson taking that
I
one.
got Jackson as
Me
well.
too.
Okay, let's go Cleveland Heights 9-1 against Lorraine. At 3-7, Cleveland Heights, they're going to take that one home.
Cleveland Heights has been great all year. Lorraine has been disappointing. It's the best way to put it.
You agree with Cleveland Heights there?
Yes, sir.
All right, and then we have Ignatius and
My
John
favorite
Marshall. Your
matchup.
favorite game.
Yeah, I can't wait for this one.
I think Chris says John Marshall is going to win this one by 35. That's a joke, by the way.
No way.
Ignatius is taking that one. You have Medina playing Strongsville. They play a lot. I think Medina's going to take this one. They're at 9-1. They have 1 loss on the season. Strongsville's 3-7.
Medina has been dominant all year. I don't see them losing this game.
Coach, what do you think?
Medina as well.
Medina, yeah. Wadsworth, Elyria, 6-4 versus 5-5. That's a 7-10 matchup. That could be interesting. I have Wadsworth there.
I have Wadsworth too. I think
Wadsworth as
Wadsworth's just a bit more complete team than Elyria.
What you got, Wadsworth? I think we're on to. I think our
We're
whole
all on the same
Region
page.
1 is right. Menor and Brunswick. Menor, they're having not their best season they've had, but they're still good. They're at 6-3, playing a 3-7 Brunswick team. They've already played them once this year. They beat them. I'm taking Menor, and then Canton McKinley versus Canton Glen Oak. Good for the city of Canton. McKinley's going to take that one though.
Yes, I agree. Definitely
I agree as
McKinley.
well.
All right, so there's our playoff coverage. Anything else you guys want to add before we're done? Chris, I'll start with you.
Nope, just a good week. Looking forward to Monday Night Football. Hopefully the Browns can finally pull a game off. And, we'll see. See if they're not the worst team in the NFL, maybe.
My final words. Parents, let the coaches coach your kids. If your kid got what it takes, let your kid prove it on the field. You got to start from day one in camp. You're starting camp. You can't come on game day expecting to be the star. You know, if you got, for instance, if you got the number one running back in the country, if you got the number one running back in the state, the offense got to go through him first. You know, everybody else, it follows through the line. Be a team player, not an eye player.
And then I'll say, we got a couple more minutes than I thought, but that's okay. We'll talk a little bit. Let's bring up the biggest game of the weekend here. Ohio State taking on Penn State. In Penn State, it's Halloween time. Coach doesn't even want to talk about it. He's done. But I love this tradition that has started here with Ohio State playing Penn State on Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. And, I'm sure it's a probably 7:30 game, right? Is it a prime time? Of course it is.
Yep.
And what are your thoughts, Coach? I'll go to you on this Halloween tradition that's going on between Ohio State and Penn State.
Y'all know how I feel. I'm a big Buckeye fan. I think this is our year. I think, our guys are on all cylinders. We had the bye week. We came out against Iowa, proved what we can do, put up a lot of points against Iowa.
3 interceptions, right? Something like that.
Yeah, put a lot of points up, man. And the defense is playing much better than they did last year. We back to the days where Urban was here, where we played aggressive. And we went to the ball. Everybody went to the ball. Last year's defense wasn't as aggressive as this year's defense. And I think our offense, we proven, if one running back is out, we got another running back. That running back out, we got another running back. If not, we're going to call the kid from Akron named Chip. Chip can come in, play offense, he can play defense. So this year, we got a lot of versatile, we got a lot of athletes, and I think we're going to go to the next level. I'm looking for November 26th.
Yeah, can't wait.
And, you say that about the running backs, but I think also the wide receiver room the same way. Smith and Jigba, he's hurt again. And, he was supposed to be our number one come in, take over. And you have guys that are, again, they're next guy up. Marvin Harrison Jr. out there killing it. Emeka Mbuka out there killing it. Jaden Ballard's going to get some big playing time. He's gotten some, but he's getting more and more every week.
Yes.
The more that Jackson Smith and Jigba's out, Jaden Ballard's going to come in.
Our receiving room is loaded.
Definitely. And it's amazing what a good defensive coordinator can do.
I mean, who we got so many weapons. Who you going to guard?
Right.
Who you going to focus on?
Right.
I mean, like you said, Ballard is coming up. He's behind a lot of great players.
Yep.
And next year that room is going to clear out a little bit. He's going to have his time to shine. And it's going to be interesting. The receiver room is doing what they got to do. The running back room is doing what they got to do. So let's see. Let's go to the Big Ten championship. Me and Bert, we looking to go down to Indianapolis.
I'll be there.
And then we go into the national championship. That's just how it's going to be.
Chris, what are your thoughts on that, on the Halloween game?
Oh, well, I always love the Halloween game. I always love the Penn State game because it's always so much fun. It's a night game. It's Halloween weekend. Everyone's dressed up. It's a fun weekend anyways, and it's always a big game. But like I said, it's you were talking about, Coach, the defense this year, and they really upgraded their defensive coordinator position, and now they have one of the best defenses in the country. They look so dominant right now, Ohio State. I don't think anyone's going to beat them this year.
Yeah, and then one last thing. Chris and I saw this on the way down here today. Ryan Day revealed that he got fined because in 2019 he missed the award ceremony, and he did that to go recruit our current quarterback, C.J. Stroud. He said he'd do it again. He doesn't care. You got to do what you got to do, and look what it's doing. It's paying off. So that fine,
It was
who
well
cares?
worth it.
He's like, well worth it. Let's do it again.
I think I'd help him pay for it if he asked me. to.
Right? I think the entire Buckeye region, the entire Buckeye fan base would be like, here, let's split this between everybody.
Yeah.
We'll be the NIL for your fine. So I think other than that, I think we're good for today. Again, this is the Clearviewmedia Sports Podcast. Stay tuned next week. We'll get into round 2 of the playoffs. Have a good one.
Go Sharks.
Be safe.